a little bit about the formation that we played on the weekend and something we'll be playing quite often going forward as well. So the biggest difference, like we noted, was the double pivot rather than a single pivot. What that means is, these two centre mids rather than having the two number 8s or box-to-box midfielders, as some people call them. So generally, or in the earlier part of the season and last year, we'd play with these two 8s that would kind of get up and get down and did really well at that. But when we're playing with this double pivot and that one number 10 or designated central attacking midfielder, these two are a bit more holding midfielders, or like I'm saying, that double pivot. That pivot means when you're pivoting from attack to defense, they are the sort of the fulcrum, the crux of that transition. So a few different things that although it's only a slight change, there are a few key differences that I want to talk to. We talked about these on Sunday on the weekend. We did it quite well, but just reinforcing that going forward, so we can make sure we're very understanding of this formation and the roles that it has. Cool. So one of the focuses is that discipline, like I'm saying, around the defensive midfielders, rather than being that box-to-box midfielder that we see done really well. All our midfielders can play that role really well, but instead of being that box-to-box, we're being more of a bit of a disciplined defensive mid. That's not to say they're not going to get into the box, get shots, but it's more knowing exactly when to do that. We'll talk to that a little bit in a second. Other thing, the fullbacks having that additional license to get forward. Really well done on the weekend, even leading to our goal when Jamie came up and won the ball here, won it high, got that to Laney. Laney played that really great through ball to Jones, who finished off a really good play. And that was done because our fullback could get high and put pressure and attack the ball. So lots more of that. We'll see a lot more of our fullbacks coming into it. The other thing about that means that we're also going to have to make sure that wingers attacking mid, even centre forward sometimes, definitely the centre mids, looking for that fullback. That fullback will be up as an option. So sometimes when you're like, oh, hey, I want to play it wide, we're really good at using width, remember? That attacking the winger is maybe behind a defender, not in a great position. This fullback or this fullback will be up and an option. Perfect. We're really happy with that because they're allowed to come up to be in line with these centre mids even a bit further, especially with an overlap. And they can recycle it back to our centre mids and we can keep playing like that. Other thing, just within that centre mids, is we've got to be cautious of this gap between or in front of our centre backs. There's a big Alberta and Alice sized goal gap there in our midfield or in our centre space. It's a really important, difficult space for us to make sure we're not letting attacking players get their head up, look up, and look for a pass in this area, because it is really a danger zone, especially when on the edge of our box. So just making sure and being cautious that we can come back and make sure that space is well defended. And sometimes it'll also mean one of the centre backs stepping up, but just being cautious as well that our fullbacks will have to tuck then, and one of the centre mids can also come back into that back line. Last thing is just that wingers, whenever the ball goes to this attacking mid and they look up, we always know that whoever's playing there, at the moment it's been a lot of Jones playing there, whenever they look up or whenever they get the ball's going towards them, they can look up and they'll be looking for a pass straight away to these wingers. So without even thinking, okay, is Jones going to be able to see me? You instead just thinking, I need to get in behind this back line and make sure that I'm penetrating that defensive space, and that way I can actually receive that ball. It's going to be the first thing that we look for, is that pass in behind to break a back line. Yeah, might not always happen, but still making that run means that you're pulling defenders out of position. And even if it's you make a fantastic run here, Jones picks up the ball, maybe doesn't see it, is looking this way, comes back. We've pulled a defender, and all of a sudden, hey, look, this person's there. Nice, we can get back there, we can keep playing, we can move up as a team. Yeah, really important that we use that as a trigger. So with other players, a lot of the time it's making an eye contact. Whenever the ball comes here to this attacking mid, those wingers are making those darting runs in behind. Talk a bit more there in a second. But let's try and go through another concept that I want to get us on top of is this half space, or the spaces that are laterally across the pitch. Remember, we're really good at using width. When we use that width, we look fucking phenomenal. So we need to keep building into that and keep making sure that we're aware of this. One of the biggest reasons that we ever talk about these spaces, and especially half spaces, is to make sure that we're not occupying the same space with more than 2 players at a time. And sometimes even if you see that you are going to be the second person going into that half space, just trying to understand why you're going there and is it going to be helping. Remember, we're always trying to create triangles, as you can see here from an attacking 5, that there's only 2 ever in the space, and in the half space there's only ever 1. So if I were to say this person goes in here, this person is up here as well, what are we doing here? Are these good triangles? Not really. We've only got 1 triangle here, 1 triangle here. All of a sudden, maybe this attacking player comes out here. Amazing. That's 1 triangle, 2 triangles. We've got triangles all over the fucking place, yeah? That's what we're trying to do. Also, a ball coming from this maybe attacking midfielder to this center forward. Very easy to pick up, very easy to understand. Also, a defender comes here. This person gets maybe with their back towards goal. They're just marked really easily. This player comes out here, and all of a sudden, this is a really dynamic pass and a really easy way to take a touch and just have a shot on goal. It's exactly what happened to us to get our first goal. Laney had come back, and essentially it was our right back. So it was Jamie came up, won the ball, got it to Laney, and there was a really nice run from Jones coming from this half space, and the ball was nice, diagonal, dynamic, and we got a goal from it. This wouldn't have happened. I mean, sometimes it will. I'm not going to say never. If this was like this, yeah. Just as a defender, I think if you're defending, a straight vertical pass is really easy to pick up, really easy to shut down, and really easy to mark. So we need to be dynamic. A lot of the time, you'll see a lot of really great attacking midfielders or great midfielders or even wingers will try and get in that half space to make things happen. We're going to be exactly the same. We're going to be making sure that when we've got the ball, we've got space to move, we want to get into these half spaces to make these dynamic. Really important between these two, but also center mids when it comes up, that we're looking to shift. One of us will go, one of us will stay. And same thing, if you see this person going across, you're a midfielder, hey, I'm going to take up that in the middle. That ball can come back. All of a sudden, we're now looking for another one out here, or maybe more diagonal. We're just looking to make sure that we're not occupying the same channels, and we're making sure that when we move with purpose to make that pass meaningful and dynamic. Yeah? Cool. All right, so as we do, we always try and play that ball wide. We always try and play it to our winger. So a lot of the time, we're always trying to also create a very easy short pass. So a lot of the time, our attacking mid will go across. Awesome. Look at this now. Our center mid's like, oh, I'm starting to see this half space, but this isn't really a place to occupy, right? This left back has also come up to be an option. They can kind of move around as well, but there's a nice triangle here. We don't need this additional pass. And even if we play across and come into the center space, there's still that pass on, yeah? So just making sure we're watching this. Remember on transition, this is a hard space to mark. As a center mid, being dynamic, all of a sudden we've read this scenario. This space is unoccupied, this half space. This center mid can come up, yeah? Not always going to play like this. Obviously, this is just a scenario, but just making sure that we're looking out for what are the channels I'm occupying, what are the spaces that I can get into, where is the ball going? I'm trying to read and make sure that we're using these spaces really effectively to progress play. Cool. I think that is just the same. Cool. And then defensively as well, how can we keep up this principle? So what we're trying to do here as well is trying to use these. A lot of the time you'll see, for example, a right back comes up and we're like, okay, we have to come across. We're good at this. Bit more discipline from some of our center backs to make sure that we are making those pushes across. But this is a great way to say, hey, look, we don't have 4. We've got 3. We're marking all of those really dangerous spaces. Yes, they can get crosses in, but that's fine. Yeah. And even if the ball comes down, do I have one? Yeah, looks like this one. Even if this right back's up further, one of the attacking players comes down here with the ball. This player comes across. And let's just say we're in that 3 as we were. We can go, okay, well, what are we doing here? Maybe that defensive mid comes in and drops in, or this player comes across, and then this defensive mid comes and drops in, yeah? Always making sure that these 3 channels defensively are covered in some form. All right, and now playing out, which is something that we'll definitely focus on Tuesday. We're very much looking to find those fullbacks. And what we're trying to do here by using these channels, by using these half spaces as a bit of a guide, is we're trying to make sure that we've got an opportunity. So when someone presses us, we can create that triangle. We can move into those spaces to make sure that, yes, they're pressing us, but the person on the ball always has 2 options. Here, they've got 3. Amazing. A fullback should always have a bunch of options. we can actually play around them and then break out. Yeah, we're like, because we're a decent team at passing and we're decent at using our width, we want to be able to receive the ball, play up, essentially trap someone in a poorly executed press, and be able to play around them. That's what we're going to be working on a lot, and that's something that will be helped by these half spaces. Remember, we're trying to create triangles, and that's how we actually play around and able to maintain the ball. This half spaces should help. Cool. As always, any questions, please let me know, and we can talk about this and work on this going forward. Thanks, team.